morning, everyone. Welcome to Union Public Library. Good morning, everyone. Welcome to Union Public Library Presents, for lack of a better title, but really welcome to Foods, Diners, New Jersey, and so much more with Peter Genovese, and whose name I probably butchered. So Peter, take it away. Right. I'm asking everybody to mute themselves. If they have questions, please unmute yourself, and that's it. Welcome, Peter.
Thanks for having me. Yeah, I'm good, and much. If at first you don't succeed, try again. Which I apologize for it not working out last week, but we had technical difficulties, and we're beyond that, and everything sounds good. I'm just going to give you a quick rundown of what I do. I'm sure you've probably read me online and in the Star Ledger, but for those who haven't, a quick rundown, and then we'll jump right into questions because I'm sure you have. I'm sure you have some. Pete Genovese, I'm a food and features writer for NJ.com and the Star Ledger. I work for, the company is technically New Jersey Advanced Media, but NJ.com and the Star Ledger are part of that. And what I do most of the time is, I know you're gonna hate me for this, but I wander around New Jersey eating and get paid for it. That's pretty much my job most of the time. Obviously, it was scaled back quite a bit this year because of the pandemic. Yeah, I couldn't get to as many. I was doing a lot of sort of pandemic related stories that had nothing to do with food. So I wasn't as active food wise. I didn't eat as much this year, but I'll make up for it next year, I promise. But I still got around a lot. I did, early in the year, I did this 2-week search for the state's best Greek restaurants. That was the best thing I did all year. The most fun thing I did. It was Greek food. I love Greek food. And literally 2 weeks on the road, just eating Greek food, and then putting a list together of like the 30 best. You can find it online easy enough. And and I have a job and people, the higher ups at New Jersey Advanced Media, who allow me to do this. This is pretty much, again, what I've done for the last 5 years. I say, I want to search for the best burgers. Okay, spend a week and hit as many places as you can. And which I think makes my, their lists, food lists, Yelp and all these rankings all over the place. But mine are different because I actually go to places. If I say I'm going to search for the best Greek, I'm going to put together a list of the best Greek restaurants. I'm not just going to sit home one day and go on Facebook or Yelp and throw together a list. I'm actually going to go out and visit those places. The Greek foods, I drove 2,000 miles. I mean, that's from here to what, Denver? Just looking for Greek food. So again, I'm allowed to, I have the latitude to do that. The great people at NJ.com, New Jersey Advanced Media, that allow me to do it. And so that's pretty much, I did all kinds, best bakeries a week ago, best new pizzerias, which I'm sure some of you saw. That was a couple of weeks ago. And again, I'm going to these places. I'm not just spinning these lists out of thin air. I just did a list. Jeremy Schneider, who's our other food features reporter, he and I are teaming up the 50 best foods, or the 25 each, the 25 best dishes we had all year. And Jeremy got around too. So we both, so it's a look at that list. I think probably New Year's Day, day after New Year's. So again, the 50 best dishes we had all year. What else? So that's what I did a couple weeks ago. Some of these stories are about food generally. I did a story about the slow death of the 24-hour diner. Before this year, there were dozens of 24-hour diners. Diners open around the clock, and now there are only 3 in New Jersey. Even the TikTok Diner, which is the most classic 24-hour diner, they're not even 24-hour diners anymore. So the pandemic forced them to get
broadcast.
No. Force them to scale back their hours. And so that was a story. So it's another kind of story I do. And then I do just general Jersey features that have nothing to do with food, just wandering around New Jersey looking for, I have a story coming up in a couple of days, 21 places you must visit in 2021. Last year was 20 places to visit in 2020. So we're keeping with a 21. And what's different about this list, so these aren't necessarily places you've heard about, but what's different about this list, of course, 21, what's the significance of the word 21? There's 21 counties in New Jersey. So each spot on the list is from a different county. So nobody can complain that they were left out. So look for that like in another or a week or so, 21 places you must visit in 2021. And I think I've talked enough. I'm sure you have questions. So I'm going to let Debbie unmute you and let you fire away.
Okay, so
Oh.
how did you become, what sort of criteria do you use on the food? Do you have any sort of official review, or do you have a standard list, checklist?
No, not really. I mean, I'm not I majored in journalism. You know, I've been a journalist obviously all my life. I majored in journalism in college, and I sort of fell into, you know, I worked for the New Brunswick paper, the Home News, for many years. Didn't really do anything food-wise. I didn't, my food career as such, as it is, didn't really start until I came to the Ledger. When I was hired, the editor at the time, Jim Wilsey, I had just come out with my book on diners, Jersey diners. And so he knew my background, and I was being sort of groomed for the Munchmobile because it had been started by somebody else, Mark Diano. He did it the first year, and then I sort of came in every year, you know, for the next 20 years. So I was hired kind of, you know, to take over the Munchmobile. That was part of it. But then I did, you know, I did a lot of general assignment stories. This is kind of a long-winded answer, but I sort of have to get into it. I did general assignment stories, and I started a review column called Eat with Pete. So that was a weekly review. So that was the first really restaurant reviews I did. And again, I didn't have any classic background. I wasn't a cook. I didn't work in kitchens. And a lot of those places where I didn't do high-end places. Even now, I don't do high-end places. I do sort of casual, you know, Eat with Pete, where like pizzerias and burger joints and hot dog joints. You know, I've sort of expanded now, you know, Greek food, but it's still not really high-end food. You know, I'm not going to the Ryland Inn to do a review. So, you know, just by doing it, I think that to answer your question, just by doing it and seeing what was on the plate, what it tasted like, trying to find the right words to describe it. And I think I just got, you know, better at what I did. I look at some of the early columns kind of with embarrassed, you know, like what was I trying to say there? But it's like anything. You just do it enough, and you just find the right words, and you know what you're eating. You know the ingredients. You ask the cook if you have to explain things afterwards. So it just be a process just by learning, basically learning on the job.
Emmanuel wants to know how the diner's role has evolved in New Jersey culture before and during the pandemic, and hopefully afterward too.
I missed the first part, Debbie. How the diner.
Peter, what can you tell us about how the diner's role has evolved in New Jersey's culture before, during the pandemic and after the pandemic?
Yeah, well, the diners, one thing about the diners has never changed. It's, you know, I mentioned this in my book, in the introduction to my book, Jersey Diners. It's not just a place to eat. It's really the community center. It's where people, you know, I always said it's the best place to find out what's going on in your town, you know, because you're going to find, you know, you're going to have everybody there from the sanitation guys up to the mayor, you know, and everybody in between. So it's a great place to just sort of take the pulse of the town. So that hasn't changed. That really, from the diners, from the beginning of the diners in the 20s and 30s, all the way up to now, almost 100 years later. I mean, they are a great place to where you can take the pulse of the community center, sort of a town, more of a town hall than many town halls are. Again, you know, great cross section of customers, you know, the waitresses who call you honey, you know, that hasn't changed. What has changed, obviously, menus have changed. You know, diners now, many new diners that are being built, they're very sort of palatial. They're very, you know, sort of like look like high-end restaurants. They look like nothing like the diners, classic diners from 30s, 40s, and 50s. But the menus have expanded again to reflect the times. You know, we're not all eating steaks and burgers. We want salads. We want gluten-free options. We want, you know, we want healthy food and the unhealthy food. I mean, the diner's still, you know, it's a great sanctuary from and for health or non-healthy food. And now, and again, if you look up that story 2 weeks ago, the slow death of the 24-hour diner, you see how the diners, what they're going through now. You know, there are only 3 24-hour diners left in New Jersey. They've had to drastically scale back menus, employees, they're losing money. So that's changed. And whether I think diners are forever. I firmly believe in that. We've had 3 or 4 diners in New Jersey close in the last year, and all these other diners scale back their hours. But I don't see, and some more will probably close in the next few months. But diners are forever. They're such a integral part of the Jersey landscape. I can't imagine Jersey without diners. It's simple as that.
Sort of leads to my next question, and please, everybody, feel free to jump in. But what is it about New Jersey that breeds a diner culture? And everywhere else has coffee shops. What is it about New Jersey that's diner?
Well, diners didn't start here. They really could be traced to the lunch carts in Providence, Rhode Island, in the late 1800s. But from the get-go, most of the diner manufacturers were located here. You had Paramount, you had Coleman, you had Musi. There were diner manufacturers also in Queens. So they were sort of like the 2 epicenters of diner manufacturing back in the 30s, 40s. And these in New Jersey, at one time there were like 20, 30 diner builders at the same time. So again, the 30s and 40s, and of course diners were built to be moved. They're modular structures. And they just found a home in New Jersey. Instead of who wanted to buy a diner for however much it cost in the 30s and 40s and move it all the way to Chicago. It would cost you, an arm and a leg and then some to put it on a truck or a train and ship it there. So what was the easy solution? Just move it down the road, move it into wherever, Rutherford, Carlstadt, Morristown, just scant miles from the diner builder. So they saved money there. And that culture just built. And another part of it was, of course, Greeks, even and now dominate, make up the majority of diner owners. The Greek immigrants, they were coming over from Greece, finding work in restaurants and luncheonettes in New York, saved up enough money and bought a diner, and they built it in New Jersey. It was cheaper. Land was more readily available than New York City. Forget about it. And that's why you had this great explosion of diners in New Jersey in the 40s and 50s. It just became, again, diner manufacturers are right there. And, the Greek immigrants who took ownership, the owners, they were right there. They're coming from New York City. They built homes in North Jersey especially. And to where we got to the point when I did my diner book 20 years ago, there's 600 diners in New Jersey. And that number is still pretty close. It's probably like 590, 595. That's a lot of diners in a small state. And we are the diner capital of the world, by far more diners than in any other state. So again, you had a couple different factors. The diner manufacturers were located here. The Greek immigrants settled here, and they had a food background. And diners just had this wave of popularity. Again, 40s and 50s were like the boom time for diners. So yeah, a couple different factors at work there.
I've always been curious. Go ahead, Barbara. Barbara, you go.
Okay, when you go to a diner, do you always go announced, or have you ever gone?
No, never. Or restaurants in general, because
right.
I do obviously. I do a lot of Greek restaurants. They're not diners.
Right,
I do a lot of different restaurants. I never announce myself ever, because then you get into any reputable food reviewer shouldn't tell the owner that they're there. I know some who do it, and I think it's disreputable. Because then you get they may switch out ingredients or give you the freshest fish. But the most important factor is that they will offer to pay for your food, and no one pays for my food ever. Never did it on the Munchmobile, and I haven't done it, since in all my stories. And I've gotten to, once I'm recognized, I am recognized,
right.
Old bald-headed guy, I kind of stand out. And the owner will say, "Oh, this is on me," and I say, "No." "Oh, a discount?" "No." We'll give it 10%. No. And then they'll say something like, "No one will know." And my answer to that is always, "I will know." And that's all that counts.
Right.
I won't be able to go to sleep at night knowing that somebody paid for my food, and they're expecting a positive review since they paid for my food. So I never, ever, A, announce myself, or B, allow somebody to pay for my food, even discount, even we'll throw in a cheesecake. No, I got to pay for it. I can't tell you how many times I could write a book just on all the times that has happened and sort of some of the funny back and forth with owners. Oh, no one will know. Yeah, I'll know. And that's all that counts.
Ovid has a question.
Right.
Ovid, are you there? I'm mispronouncing your name. Ovid? He was wondering, he wrote in the box, our kids, Jared and Allie, were on the Munchmobile ice cream
Yes,
trip.
I remember. Yes, I remember them.
Hi, Pete.
On the,
It was one
ice-
of our kids' most memorable experiences. Will the Munchmobile be coming back?
No,
with
well, let me ask you first. That was the ice cream trip, right?
That was the ice cream trip
You
with
know,
the,
they gave me, and I remember that trip well because we were in Manasquan where I lived, but they gave me like ice cream spoons.
Yes, we
Oh,
did
yes.
as a gift.
I still have those. I just used those actually a couple times. I still have them and use them. So
Oh, that's wonderful.
tell them thanks. I still have those spoons.
Glad you're using them. That's fantastic. I remember we gave them to you.
Well, and I'll answer your question real quick, but they really came in handy. So about a month ago, I did this. You might have seen the story. I ranked every supermarket ice cream. I ended up with 52 different brands, 104 flavors that I tried, 104 in like 3 days, and I used those spoons. So they were perfect. You know, because you didn't want like a big spoon because you didn't want to like get too much. But the spoons are like just enough, and maybe I went in for a second time. But I did that ranking. If you haven't seen it, folks, definitely look it up. Every supermarket ice cream ranked, and the top like 3 or 4 I never heard of, and so. But it's an example of some of the fun things I get to do on the job.
Kathy, I'm sorry.
Yeah, but
Kathy?
his question, he had a question though. I
the
forgot.
question is, will you be coming back with people? It was one of the most memorable experiences for our kids. Will you
And for us.
And for us, will you be coming back with,
No, I told Debbie before. Yeah, the Munchmobile is in permanent mothballs. We're actually, we haven't done anything with it in about 4 years, and it's actually going to be sold. One of our reporters is buying it. You know what she's going to do with it. Well, she has to take the hot dog off, obviously, but she's going to use it as a van. It's a nice van. It's as your kids would remember. It's a really well, let me back up because the van we used when they were on was just a rental van. We bought a van about 6-7 years ago, and it's really kind of plush, has these sort of captain's chairs, and there's a bed in like a fold-out bed in the back, and there's plenty. So it's not quite like the Munchmobile back when your kids were on it. So, but anyway, so the Munchmobile is kind of kaput right now, unfortunately. It had a great run, 20 years. I mean, everybody knew the Munchmobile, Friday in the paper, the Munchmobile report, and people love taking, and we must be on 1 million smartphones, driving down the turnpike or the parkway, people taking pictures. We had a different wrap every year, if you remember, sort of this colorful wrap designed by an artist. So it had a great run, 20 years. I mean, and it served its purpose. And so no more Munchmobile, unfortunately.
Kathy Hahn, do you have a question? Or Ovid, did you want to follow up?
No, it was a memorable experience, and we still have the T-shirts.
Yes. You could probably get.
The 10-year reunion too. They went to the 10-year reunion, which was great.
Yeah. I hope to. I was hoping to do a 20-year reunion 2 years ago and never got around to it. So maybe we can still do a 22-year reunion. Obviously, we'd have to wait a while anyway. But that reunion was a great time. We had on very short notice. We had like 300-400 people show up. We had it on the roof of the parking deck in Newark, our parking deck. It was just a great time seeing everybody again. And those T-shirts, you probably can fetch a good price on eBay for those T-shirts. So I'm just saying.
Okay. Kathy, did you have something you wanted to ask? Kathy, we can't hear you. You're muted. Can you unmute yourself? There you go. Talk. Nope, still no.
I see Vonda Morton. I'm waiting for a question from Vonda, who was one of our Munchmobile alumnus. There she is.
Hi, Pete.
Hey.
Hi.
Hey. How you doing?
I'm actually on the. I'm good. How are you?
I'm good. I can't complain. There you are. Hey.
I just wanted to say that I was on the Munchmobile twice.
How'd you pull that off? Twice?
Well,
you must have known some. You must have known somebody.
Well, you know what? Yeah, I do know somebody. Well, I think the first one was Italian, and then I wanted to do it again, so I had my kids make a poster that
I
said,
still
"Hey,
have-
Pete, can I do it again?" I said, remember that?
You're not going to believe it. I still have that poster. I can get up right now and show it to you if you want me to. I
Did
still
I
have
give
that.
it to you?
What's that?
Did I give it to you?
Yeah, or maybe I just took it from you. I don't know, but I still.
No, maybe I
I still
brought it.
have
It's the
that.
second
I saved because that was a time when we had people apply to go on the Munchmobile. So people would make all these.
Yeah.
So I saved a lot of those, some of the more artistic ones, but I still have yours. Like I said, I can get up right now and show it to you.
I want to see it because my kids made it, and then you let me come on, and I think it was the second time was burgers.
Let me give me one. And Debbie, take over for about a minute. Let me see if it's
Okay.
still where I think it is. I'll be right back.
Okay. I'm going to try to, Vonda and everybody, I love that you can connect with Peter, and I'm very envious that you got you on the Munchmobile. I'm going to ask people to keep those memories to the end so that the rest of us
Got
can
it.
ask questions in. Vonda, very jealous that
No
you went
problem.
twice. I can't believe
I'm
that.
gonna actually mute because I'm really working right now, so
Okay.
I'm not even supposed to be here. So I'm
We
gonna
don't
go
see
back
you,
to mute.
Vonda. Nobody here sees you. And I've heard, Kathy, I've got your question. David, I've got your question. I'm going to go back up and I'll see everybody's questions and I'll ask them. So Kathy is up next. Do you have a prediction about what the next big thing in New Jersey casual food will be?
I'm sorry, Debbie, I didn't catch that. Casual food.
What's the next big thing for New Jersey casual food from Kathy? Example, what will be the Playa Bowl of 2021?
Oh, that's a good question. I'm not sure. I think a lot of it is chefs and cooks finding ever more. I mean, you really have to be more, not so much this year because what went down, but you have to be ever more creative and inventive. So I'm just take one example, wings. I mean, these chefs who make wings, some of these places have like 50, 100 different sauces. So there's sort of, that's not, I don't call that a trend, but it's an example of where you have to be ever more creative or crazy, maybe might be the word. I don't know if there's one thing that I can point to. I mean, there's more pizzas are coming in different styles. One of my favorite pizzerias in the state is in Union County, Masa Roman Square and Scotch Plains. That's an entirely different kind of pizza. It's called Roman style. They're rectangular. The dough is made a different way. So it's an example that's a good example because who doesn't like pizza? And so they're different. There's only 2 or 3 places in all of New Jersey that make that style of pizza. So I think that might be, again, but you got to be more creative, inventive. You got to stand out, especially now. There's thousands and thousands of restaurants in New Jersey, and you can't keep making that burger the same way you've been making it for the last 10 years. You got to offer different toppings or a better quality meat because people we're the one thing about us. I don't like the word foodie, but people who pride themselves in knowing about food, they're picky, right? And we're all picky when we go out to eat. Maybe we're not so picky at home, but when we go out to eat, we have favorite places because we know they make a dish a certain way. And if something is not cooked the right way, we'll say something on Facebook or maybe right to the owner. So again, I think, I can't point to one thing. I mentioned pizzas and that one pizzeria in Scotch Plains, especially with a different kind of pizza. So I think you're going to be seeing more of that within food categories. You're going to see more creative and inventiveness once everyone gets past the survival mode, of course, first of all.
So David asks, hi Pete, love your articles. How many restaurants do you go to that you don't publish due to negative impressions?
Well, that's a good question. So when I do my, so I don't do really reviews. I don't do restaurant reviews as such. I don't, go to restaurant A and then write about it. That's not what I do. What I do is, I pick a mission, best Greek food, and I mentioned that before, 2 weeks on the road. And that's all I did was eat Greek food. and not everybody obviously makes the list. You know, if I went to maybe 40, 50 places and 30 made it, and some of those were places I had been to before. So maybe 20 of the places, less than half the places I visited of the Greek restaurants made the list. So you're not just getting on the list because I visited you. So that's pretty much happens with all my missions. You know, bakeries, I've been to hundreds, maybe thousands of bakeries in New Jersey, but my most recent list only mentioned 35. You know, I've been to a lot of bakeries that just were, okay. There's nothing wrong with them, but they're not the best. They're not the cream of the crop. So on my list, you know, if you go nj.com/Genovese, you can see all my lists, you know, for the last 5 years, and they're never more than like 30, 40 places. But again, it's the database is scores, hundreds of places for each of those that I have visited recently, or, you know, over the last couple of years. So I'm drawing from that, and then from actually going to the places. So to answer your question, a lot of places, easily the majority of places don't make, the majority of places I visit don't make any of my lists.
What is the most clever, Emmanuel asks, sorry for butchering your name, what is the most cleverly named diner in your opinion?
Ooh. Clever, you know, I should know this since I wrote the book and I've written so many stories about the other. Let me. Well, it's not clever, but probably my favorite Jersey diner name is the Miss America in Jersey City. You know, the Miss America had no connection. I'm surprised actually the Miss America organization hasn't like said something, because the diner's been there forever in Jersey City. Others, you know, I can mention a few. Chit Chat in Hackensack is kind of a cute name. Mustache Bill's in Barnegat Light. The owner Bill really does have a mustache. I mean, I'll probably come up with 10 as soon as I get off here. But if I think of others, I'll definitely let you know.
Victoria would.
Yeah, I was going to ask if he had a favorite name diner.
Emmanuel, do you have a favorite diner name? I'll let you know if he types something in, but in the meantime, Emmanuel says so many. Victoria wants to know your thoughts on the impact of food trucks on food culture.
Yes. Well, I love food trucks. You know, I've been, you know, right from the beginning, sort of led the charge to publicize them and to put them in the forefront. So, you know, I've done any number of, you know, I did a list, I think last year, the 40 best food trucks in New Jersey, and I've been to pretty much all of them. There are probably about 200 now. You know, again, a lot of them have just shut down this year, but and food trucks, you know, and I've said this so many times, when we had comments in our stories, people would say, oh, those are just grease trucks, they're dirty, they're this and that. These food trucks, they're cleaner than many restaurants I've been to. You know, they have to go get the same health certification from the local town as everybody else. You know, they just operate on their own. They have to have, stuff has to be clean. They have inspections. And so they're hardly not grease trucks anymore. There's no resemblance to the grease trucks you might remember from Rutgers or other campuses. And the food is I've had some of my best meals in the last 5 years on food trucks. The second best, I did a list, you can look it up. I did a list of all the best things I ate in 2019. And the first best thing was a pizza from Massa Roman Square in Scotch Plains. The second best thing, and this is of thousands of things I ate of that year, 2019. The second best thing was from a food truck, lamb chops, which are so, I forget the name of the truck. It'll come to me. But I mean, the point is, there's a lot of great food on food trucks. And if you haven't been to them, if you have that sort of, you still have that stereotype as grease trucks, man, you just put that aside and try, you know, again, look at my list from, I think last year, food trucks. Just Google food trucks in New Jersey and you'll see the list. Those are like the outstanding, what I consider the very best food trucks, and there are many more. You know, again, there are about 200 or so, but there's a lot of great food on food trucks.
So going back to the titles, Emmanuel has a family connection to the Monmouth Queen, but he also likes the County Squire, the Venus, Betty Lind on the border of Elizabeth and Linden.
Betty Lynn, sure. St.
So I have
George
a
Avenue.
question.
Yeah.
How are diners able to produce so much variety? You know, when they're in full swing, how can they have 300 items on the menu from
Yeah,
one
well,
place?
I mean, that's you know, even like the say Tops Diner, which had pretty much the biggest menu ever. Yeah, that's more the exception than the rule. You know, those giant telephone book sized menus. And most diners have fairly, you know, it's on one, you know, laminated page, and maybe flip it over, it's on the other. That's the menu. But the ones you're talking about, yes. Well, they buy in volume, first of all. A lot of diners belong to it. There's a co-op. That there's one in South Jersey, one in North Jersey. So they buy in bulk and keeps the prices down, and they can, you know, and that's some of it. And they know by now, you know, Tops Diner can tell you right down to the chicken, how many chickens they will sell on a normal week. So they're not gonna, the point is they're not gonna overbuy. They're not going to buy 5,000 chickens when they know they're only going to sell 2,000. So that helps, knowing your customer base, you know, and taking items off the menu if they don't sell. They're not reluctant to do that. They're not going to keep something on if it doesn't sell, if no one's buying it. So again, buying in bulk and just doing the volume that they do is that they can afford, you know, this great turnover in food. Just keep, and their kitchens are, I mean, if you ever go into a diner kitchen, especially a big one like Tops or TikTok, they're just amazing what goes on there. You know, just it's sort of like this choreographed routine. Everybody sort of dashing, everybody knows their place, and you know, there's no confusion. Everyone knows exactly what to do and who does what. You know, somebody does the pancakes, somebody does the burgers. You know, it's just a great, if you can ever arrange a visit to a diner, especially a big diner kitchen, do it. You know, if you know an owner, because it'll just blow your mind.
We have a follow-up question, and I think you'll like this question. If you had $10 million and you had to spend it on opening a restaurant, food establishment, what would you do?
What kind of a place would it be?
Just, David, do you want to ask the question directly? It just says, it doesn't, no mic. Okay. If you had to spend it on opening a restaurant or food establishment, what would you do? So it's,
yeah, well, first of all, I don't think I'd need $10 million even now. I think for $1 million, you could build a pretty nice restaurant. You know, a diner would be my obvious answer. But I think I would like, you know, a pizzeria, maybe. Diner, pizzeria, and then just maybe like a lot of roadside luncheonette, you know, sort of like a, you know, 15 tables. Maybe I'd be the chef, maybe not. Maybe I just sort of sit back and hang out all day and talk to the customers. But I think, yeah, sort of like a little roadside luncheonette. Come in, cup of coffee, breakfast, lunch, not open for dinner, just, you know, breakfast and lunch, because I'm opening up at like 6 o'clock in the morning for the truckers. So yeah, that would, you know, or, again, our diner or a pizzeria, because, you know, pizzerias, it's one thing I know. It's pizzerias. I've written enough stories over the years, books. So I think I would, if I open a pizzeria, it would be something different. It wouldn't be just your basic neighborhood slice joint. It would be.
what would you do?
Well, just a different, you know, like masa. Not saying I would do like a Roman style pizza like he does, but I would need to stand out. Or if it was going to be, you know, nothing against a neighborhood pizzeria, because that makes up the overwhelming majority. I mean, that's New Jersey pizzerias. But if I open up a neighborhood pizzeria, it would have a little, you know, a little atmosphere. I would try to use higher end ingredients, not just the same old tomato sauce and mushrooms out of a bucket and mass produced pepperoni that everybody else uses. So I would try to stand out that way. This is not your, you know, Pete's Pizzeria. This is not just your regular old pizza joint. You know,
So do you like to cook? Do you cook?
I cook, yeah, but I don't ask me what I made last night. Yeah, I cook. I cook to survive. I eat to live, but I live to eat on my job, but I eat to live otherwise.
Okay, what cultural food do you feel is most underrepresented in New Jersey from Bill?
That's a good question. When I did the Greek story early this year, I mean, there are many Greek restaurants all over New Jersey. A lot of them are concentrated in Bergen County. That's sort of like the Greek restaurant epicenter of New Jersey's Bergen. They're just everywhere in Bergen. So I said in that story, Greek sort of never, to me, in New Jersey, it gets the publicity. Everybody's talking Italian, Mexican, Chinese. Those are the three major ones right there in New Jersey, ethnic cuisines. So Greek, I think, doesn't quite get the publicity, but if you want me to go down, like a Turkish food might be another one. I mean, that there again, a lot of Turkish restaurants in again North Jersey, Bergen again. That's almost never gets. I don't think it gets its due. Everybody knows again, Italian, Mexican, Chinese, Japanese, even Korean might be, if you don't live in Bergen or Passaic County, Korean might be something that is underrepresented. You go south of New Brunswick and good luck finding, a Korean restaurant or a Korean fried chicken restaurant, KFC, as I say it, not to be confused with the other KFC. So again, a lot of it depends on where you live. So, North Jersey has everything. North Jersey is like United Nations of food. You don't have to go into New York to find even obscure cuisines. I drove past a Uzbekistan restaurant the other day in, where was it, Route 9 in Hal or Manalapan, like Uzbek cuisine. Like, where did that come from? But so there's the New Jersey, and especially North Jersey, is a United Nations of food. You name the nationality, you'll find it here.
So Courtney wants to know, in all your travels across the state, what's your favorite roadside attraction in the state?
Roadside attraction? Ooh.
Yeah.
Like not a food place, just a roadside
That's
attraction.
roadside attraction. If you want to clarify that, go ahead and put it in chat.
So I did my first book, Roadside New Jersey, was sort of dedicated to sort of roadside art and architecture, attractions. I'll give you a couple. It's hard because people ask me, I know somebody's going to ask me at some point, what's your favorite restaurant in New Jersey? And I can't answer that because it's not like just one restaurant I can point to. And the same with roadside attractions. I mean, in Egg Harbor, I just wrote about it. They have the great Christmas light display in Egg Harbor outside of Atlantic City. Oh, total blank, but somebody will know what I'm talking.
Emmanuel says any attraction doesn't have to be food. So I think you answered that question.
Yeah.
Right. Okay. Somebody loves Masters in Bordentown. Okay, but this is from Bill.
Yeah.
And this is it, Peter. Are you ready?
Uh-oh.
End the debate. Is it pork roll or Taylor ham?
Oh, I knew somebody's going to ask me that. Well, again, I've said it for a zillion times and I'll say it again. All Taylor ham, follow closely, write this down if you have to. All Taylor ham is pork roll. Not all pork roll is Taylor ham. What's the meaning of that? Taylor ham's a brand. It's like Kleenex. Don't call the tissue Kleenex if it's not Kleenex. And I know that's sort of being picky, but here's the problem. You know exactly where somebody is from, whether they use Taylor ham or pork roll. North Jersey, it's Taylor ham. They use Taylor ham. You go south of New Brunswick, Trenton, it's pork roll. If you say Taylor ham down in like Gloucester County, they're going to look at you funny because it's pork roll. Again, Taylor ham's a brand. Don't that's why I scold those North Jerseyans when they say, "Oh, I got a Taylor ham sandwich." But is it really Taylor ham? Did you actually get Taylor ham, or did you get another brand? There are other brands out there. Case and Taylor are the two big ones. They both headquartered in Trenton. So that's why I like scolding. And then we get these endless debates on Twitter when somebody brings up that question, Taylor ham. Oh, it's Taylor ham. It's Taylor ham. You don't know what you're talking about. Well, actually, you don't know what you're talking about because don't call it Taylor ham if it's not Taylor ham. That's all. And like I said, it's one of those food debates. It's kind of silly, and I wish people would stop debating it. But it makes for fun discussion on Twitter and elsewhere. Again, all Taylor ham is pork roll. Not all pork roll is Taylor ham.
Well, good to know once and for all. David wants to say, can I say how awesome this is? Peter Genovese blah, 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 is a legend, and I'm so
Oh,
happy to
stop.
witness this.
Legend
So,
in my own mind.
so let's, and Venn diagram, I'm not sure what that means. Can you do a shout out for some Union County restaurants and diners, since we're here in Union County and we want to help promote our local business, especially in Union?
Sure. I made up a list last week. Oh, I still have that list. Well, I mentioned Massa Roman Square and Scotch Plains. I'm going to do a list early next year, the best pizzerias in New Jersey ranked. So from 1 to like 25. So there's a chance they could end up on that list. Speaking of pizzerias, Santillo's, of course, in Elizabeth. If you haven't been there, go. It's just no sit down. There's no, it's takeout only. The owner, Al Santillo's, I've called him a lovable nut. He's really a character. So make sure, try to go there when he's there. So Santillo's in Elizabeth. And, Elizabeth is got, just in Peterstown, of course, you have Tommy's Italian hot dogs. Just a couple doors down is Jerry's Frankfurters, two legendary hot dog places. Practically within walking distance, you have DeCosmo's Italian Ice, which is for me is the best Italian ice in New Jersey. Just a great, it's a little green shack at the corner of 4th and High in Elizabeth. The owners live right next door, and they're always sitting outside. You go there in the summertime, they're sitting out, and you can talk to them. Like it's just a great sort of slice of Americana. The owners in their lawn chairs, and then one of their employees making the Italian ice. So DeCosmo's in Elizabeth, and of course we can't forget Spirito's, which is still open. A lot of people think it's closed. It's on the market. It hasn't been sold yet, but it's still open right now. What happens after it's sold, who knows? So that's just in Elizabeth. Another Tropicana diner, one of my favorite diners, Tropicana in Elizabeth. I mentioned DeCosmo's, Tommy's, Joe's Pizza. I can't stop talking about pizza. Joe's in Vauxhall is a great little pizzeria, been around forever. One of my 2 or 3 favorite thin crust pizzas, Nancy's Townhouse in Rahway. Very cool place. You sort of have to walk downstairs, like walking into somebody's basement. It's just a very cool red and white check tablecloths. Actually, one of the best thin crust diners, the Summit Diner, of course, in Summit. Been around forever. It might be the oldest diner in New Jersey. What else?
Have you come to Union? Have you come to Union for anything? It sounds to me like you need to come visit Union, New Jersey, and visit some of our
town of Union. Yeah. No, I have, and I was just thinking, I did a best new pizzerias list a couple years ago, and there was a pizzeria right in Union. It was almost next door to the town hall, but it's not there anymore because I looked it up and I forget the name, and I'm not sure what's there now. But that was really good pizza. It was sort of like this not swanky, but upscale sort of pizzeria. There was a bar there. I'm sure somebody will remember the name, but they made my best new pizza. I've written about Van Gogh's. I've written about whatchamacallit, pork store, Union Pork Store, right? Been there.
Oh yeah.
So I've written about Union, the town. But again,
Union
County, I've been all over Union County, trust me. I was going to say my favorite specialty food store in the entire state, specialty foods specialty food is the Greek store in Kenilworth.
Oh.
Because I love my olives, and that's like the best olive place in New Jersey. Greek store right on the boulevard in Kenilworth.
We also have, someone suggested El Lechon, and I'm El Lechon
Negron. Yeah, I've written about them many times. Yep, sure. I've written about them many times. That's right. They're in Union. They're in Union. Yeah, I drove past them last week, actually. Yeah, no, I've written about them many times. They were on my food truck list. They're on my, I think, best taco list. I love them.
Yeah, one of the things we're still having on Thursdays, we still have our food trucks here, even in the winter time. So right outside of City Hall. So right between City Hall and the library, all the librarians and staff, we all go to the food truck festival.
Are they different trucks each time?
No, they're the same, but that's okay because they're really good. Yeah.
Which ones? Which trucks?
Cousins Lobster, which is great.
Sure.
Some other people feel free to help me out here because there's a great empanada place that I can't remember the name of. There's a Filipino place.
Empanada Man.
I don't,
Empanada lady, empanada man.
not the lady. Empanada guy is what I'd say. He
Empanada
has-
guy. Yeah, empanada guy. Yeah, Carlos Serrano. I've written about him many times.
Yeah, I'm not even sure that's the name, but it's really good. And they have had some new ones lately. So I say to everybody, come on down and try our food trucks.
That's
we
good.
have a lot-
It's still in the winter too, because that's
Yep.
yeah. A lot of the trucks shut down for the winter.
And the library is right. I don't know, it's on the corner of Morris and Stuyvesant, more or less. And within this small area, there's quite a few different ethnicities. So it's worth checking out. Again, we invite you down, Peter. Come on over or up. So I wonder if you can tell me a question that I've wondered, and I encourage other people to shout this out too. What's the best chocolate chip cookie and how do you decide?
I'm not sure I found one, because I haven't done that as a category. I think that's a little too focused. I've done bakeries. I haven't done cookies, which actually would be a good category to do. Who makes the best cookies in New Jersey? But I haven't. Chocolate chip. Yeah, I can't. I would say any great bakery should make a good chocolate chip cookie, you would think, right? So I mean, you go to like a Bavella's, or you go to
Natals is good.
Philly Fluff, the Philly Fluff cake, Sorrento's in East Hanover. Any of these bakeries should make a really good chocolate chip. As far as singling out one, no, because like I said, I haven't done a chocolate chip or even a cookie.
And I agree with Emmanuel. The best chocolate chip cookie is the one you have on hand. So I agree with Emmanuel. How do you decide bakeries? That's in general, it's a good question where you have multiple different items in a category. How do you compare one to another?
I try as many items as possible. I go to, we did a best bakery, a statewide best bakery showdown was 3 years ago. Bavella's was one of the 10 finalists. Sorrento's was one of the finalists. But I had a certain number of items I would try at each bakery. It was not the same, but I forget what the number was, 10, 12. So, the point is you can't try just 2 things at one bakery and 12 things at another. It wouldn't be fair. So I tried a set number, but not the same items. I was at the owner, because the owners knew we were coming for those missions that the owner didn't know, because we had a schedule online. But I would ask the owner, what are you best known for? What's something I must try? And of course, we got a lot of feedback on Facebook and Twitter. People say, oh, you're going to Pino's in Roselle. You got to try. You got to try this or that. You're going to Sorrento's, you got to try this. You're going to Natals, you got to try the Philly Fluff and other things. So, that's social media is a big help in what I do. Because I really wouldn't be able to I don't find these places on my own.
What bakeries do you like in the Ironbound district, says Debbie?
The one I keep, Teixeira's because of the, I love the Portuguese bread. It's just a great roll. Just with butter. I'm happy with just like a buttered Portuguese roll. Teixeira's, well, maybe my favorite bakery is a little place called Suissa, Suissa. It's on Pacific and I forget the cross street. Small place. Just try. Look, if you want to Google Suissa and my name, and a couple stories will come up, and it'll tell you what you should eat there. Of course, you have to have one of the but sweet. Like I said, small place. No, Teixeira's is big, and they have a couple different places. I'm sure I'll think of others, but I love Suissa. It looks authentic. I hate the word authentic, but it looks just sort of like that down home, mom and pop type place that hasn't changed, forever. And while we're in the Ironbound, the Ironbound is great. 200 like places to eat, markets, whatever. Some of my other favorite, but Nasto's, of course, for ice cream. You have to go to Nasto's. It's ice cream legend in the Ironbound, and of course Krug's Tavern, also in the Ironbound, off of Wilson. We did a best burger competition like 5 years ago, and they were the best burger in the state. Krug's Tavern
in the Ironbound.
All those places I mentioned are in the Ironbound, and Krug's is Krug. Sounds like Krug's, but you pronounce it Krug's.
That's great. So what's your perfect meal? I know it probably vary, or
Ooh.
let's say a perfect meal, because you probably have a lot of them.
Well, I'll answer it this way. I'm going to probably scandalize some people. My 3 desert island foods, you know, if I had to go to a desert island and take 3 things with me, donuts. See, I'm already, people are like gasping, donuts, what donuts? I can't live without donuts, or baked goods in general. Barbecue, meaning, you know, ribs, chicken, pulled pork, etc. And probably fried chicken. I mean, all these things very healthy. You notice I picked the healthy options: donuts, fried chicken, and barbecue.
So why aren't you fat?
I don't know. I get asked that a lot. You know, the Munchmobile, as Ovid can testify to, and Vonda also, and there might be other Munchmobile alumni here, but we ate a ton of food on those trips, and I had to eat probably more than anybody because I was writing about it. You know, I couldn't just skip, you know, half the things on the table and just write about 2 or 3. So they were epic eating trips. Why aren't I fat? Well, here's my secret. I'm going to tell you this is the first time I've actually told anybody this. The secret. Ready for this?
Yes.
It's a great big food secret never revealed before. Don't eat everything on your plate. It's that simple.
The ultimate challenge.
If I'm eating 10 different hot dog joints a day, there's no need to eat 10 hot dogs. And people ask me that question, oh, Zoe, did you eat 10 hot dogs? Did you eat 10 pizzas, 10 whole pizzas? Are you crazy? I'd be in the hospital. I'd be hooked up to tubes. You know, so there's no need to, you know, for what I do, you know, if I was just going out as Pete Genovese civilian, you know, maybe I would eat a whole hot dog, but Pete Genovese food writer, I have to leave room in the stomach because there are other places to visit that day. So don't eat everything on your plate.
So David asks, if you had to go to a place in New Jersey for ribs and French onion soup, where would you go? I don't know if those are the same restaurant or 2 different ones.
Yeah, I don't know about fried. I don't have enough knowledge of French onion soup because it's, yeah, like I said, it's a little bit too focused. Ribs, you know, again, I can mention some of my favorite rib joints. Again, I would never single out one place. I would never say this is the best, you know, because I'd rather give you like 20 places and all doing something different. And that really holds true with barbecue because some do ribs really well, some do the pulled pork. You know, very few places do everything really well. But some of my favorite places, I'm trying to think up in Union. Well, not
We've got
far
Burnett
away.
Barbecue. We've got all kinds of things.
Yeah, I mean, in Kearney, not too far away, Red, White, and Q is one of my favorite places. If you go on my list, you know, best barbecue joints in 2020 and look up my name, you'll come up with a whole bunch of places. But again, not one that absolutely stands out. You know, and a lot of, you know, some of the better places are down in South Jersey because it just, you know, they have the smokers by the side of the road. You know, a place like Real Deal in Clinton, not in South Jersey, obviously, but you know, Christine's down in Chemong. I'm trying to think places a little closer. Red, White, and Q I mentioned in Kearney. I don't think any place in Union comes right to mind. Big Harley's in Sayreville. Yeah, again, a lot of the local smoke in Neptune. A lot of these places, if you look on that list, a lot of these places are down in South Jersey because that's, yeah. Finks and Dumont in Bergen County is really good. But like I said, I don't.
I think, Peter, I'm
none
gonna.
in Union come to mind.
I'm
Sorry.
gonna. It's not enough that you're doing this for us, and we're really grateful. But I'm gonna submit a challenge to you.
Oh no.
To come to Union.
Yes.
And we'll walk you around and have you taste some of the restaurants you might have missed. And you don't have to write about them, but you know, we'd love to have you in Union, and with the Chamber of Commerce, I'm sure walk around and show you some foods that you might not have tasted so far.
Okay, I'll take you up on that. Maybe sometime next year. Sure.
That we would love that. I say
But
that on behalf.
but I still, one thing I have to tell you now, I still will have to pay for my food. I'm not
That's
taking, I
fine.
can't
You can
take,
even
can't
pay for
take free,
ours.
can't take free food from anybody.
Okay, that's fine. That's totally fine. What's up in your future, Peter? What else is coming up besides the trip to Union?
Just in the next couple of weeks, I have a list of, so I mentioned Jeremy Schneider before. He's our other food writer. We each came up with our 25 best dishes of the year. So it's going to be 50, the headline will be 50 dishes you must try in 2021, even though it's the best thing we ate in 2020. So look for that. Probably New Year's Day or shortly after. I did, what else did I do? I mentioned this before, it's not food, but the 21 places you must visit in 2021. That'll be, that'll come up in the next, that might be before the end of the year. I mentioned maybe my most epic pizza story ever, actually ranking the top 25 pizzerias, you know, from say 25 to 1. I have don't ask me who's the number 1. Don't ask me who's even number 3, because I'll probably go back to a lot of these places and just see if they've changed, owners change, you know, ingredients change. So I'll probably go back and hit a lot of these places before that ranking. So look for that. It's in January. And for some reason I'm obsessed with, and if anyone has any recommendations, let me know. Been lately obsessed with pickles. New Jersey is like this pickle paradise. There's these pickle makers all over New Jersey. Been around for, you know, Patterson, down South Jersey. There's I forget, there's one in Morristown, I think. So I'm going to visit all these pickle places and write about pickles in New Jersey. You know, do we make more than any other state? I don't know, but there seem to be a lot of pickle makers in New Jersey. So I'm going to sort of I'll have a little fun with that.
I know at the farmer's market, there's the pickle man in Union County in Summit, and there's the pickle person.
Pickle, is that what he's called? Pickle man? Because
well, I don't know. I don't like pickles. I like sweets, but
so
it's one of the most popular trucks. And somebody is, it's in Summit at the farmer's market. And
Right,
you know, and Picklelicious. Debbie Berg says Picklelicious.
Yeah, Picklelicious on my list. Yep.
McErnie's in Hackettstown.
Yep, on my list. Yep. Pickle Patriot. Elsie's down in South Jersey. You know, the pickle, the one in Patterson, the Patterson Pickle Company. Yeah, I've got this list. So if anybody thinks
all in one day, you're going to do it all in one day?
No. This is not. This is just because I want to tell the stories of each place. You know, I want to go behind the scenes, like how do you make, you know, what do you put into, what goes into the pickle? Why are yours better than everybody else's? How many do you sell? So yeah, not all in one day.
Is there any food you don't like?
No.
Was your mother a good cook?
Oh yeah. I mean, you know, she's passed, but one of my books I dedicated to her, to Connie Genovese, the best cook in Trenton, or the best Italian cook. I forget what I said, but yeah.
David says he'll buy you a burger in Hackettstown when you come. Somebody says watch the Seth Rogen pickle movie. Someone else says lightning round over here. I don't know where here is.
What was the last place? Lightning
round over here. That's from Emmanuel. Maybe you and Emmanuel can talk to each other later.
Okay.
And I'll send you the chat just so you can see all the questions.
Sure.
Lightning round, not a place. I meant the rapid fire questions. Okay, I'm willing to do a lightning round if everybody unmutes. Does everybody want to unmute? I mean, I could do the whole thing myself, believe me. But I hope everybody will add in. Okay, I'm going to start it off, and I hope people will interrupt. And so, ice cream.
Yes.
Yes.
I have. It doesn't have to be a one-word answer, does it? So I have 104. I have 104 pints and quarts in my freezers, and I still have. If anybody has any idea what I should do with them, let me know.
I'll take them.
Invite me to eat them.
Say it again.
Invite me. I'll come down and help you eat.
Yeah, I think we all will. What's in your freezer that you haven't tasted that you want to?
I think my freezer. Well, besides ice cream, there's not a whole hell of a lot.
What's your favorite ice cream? Yourself, personal, quick.
Chocolate. Always chocolate. The darker, the better.
And your
Something
favorite
says,
place?
actually, one of my top ranked ice creams was Darkest Chocolate by Jenny's, JENNI''S. They actually won the ice cream showdown, but their Darkest Chocolate, that was the name of it, was just, it's like the ultimate chocolate.
So compare to Haagen-Dazs dark chocolate.
I'm not sure I did, Haagen-Dazs didn't do too well in that ranking. That I did 52 brands. A lot of the mass produced ones, inevitably didn't, like Turkey Hill, Haagen-Dazs, Ben and Jerry's, they were in the middle of the pack.
What about Union's own Magic Fountain?
Well, Magic Fountain's not they don't package it.
Okay.
You can't get pints and quarts. Yeah, these are supermarket ice creams only. But I love Magic Fountain. It's a great, it's a fun place in Summit and Bayonne.
And in Union, and I think in Belleville also, somewhere around there.
Yeah, there's a bunch of them.
Okay, hot dog.
Chili dog. Chili. Got it. Chili. Chili's my favorite. Chili dog. Raw onions.
Hi there.
What did you say? Anybody? John? Anybody? Okay. Pizza. I think you told us the answer, but go ahead.
I'm partial to, any day of the week, really. And not one style. I like thin crust Sicilian, standard round, the Roman side. There's really not one pizza,
From where? Just pick a place. From, I think, the Scotch Plains place, you said.
Well, yeah, the Roman, thin crust Nancy's and Rahway. And again, I'm not saying they're the best, but they're, if you haven't been there, go, because it's an experience as much as it is as a great pizza place.
How about hamburger?
Krug's, the best in New Jersey and Newark.
And how do you like your hamburger? Cheeseburger?
Either way, cheeseburger, hamburger, medium rare. Do not cook it medium or medium well. Do not do that. Steak's the same way. Do not cook it beyond medium rare, ever.
So I don't hear a lot of fish dishes. How about fish?
Yeah, I'm not a big, again, if I go out to eat, sure. I don't know if there's one. What I like is fried catfish. There's something, and white bread. There's something about that. It's sort of like all American, simple, unfussy, fried catfish, if it's fried just right, and catfish has just got a great sort of tender, flaky taste to it. There's something
From where? From where would you get it?
Yeah, again, there's a place in Newark whose name escapes me. It was right on Bloomfield Avenue. Somebody will probably remember it. They've been around forever. Not brothers.
Okay, best Mexican food. Tacos, best Mexican regular style, people style, and best Mexican gourmet.
Well, I don't know what you mean by gourmet. I mean, again, I tend to, all my stories are more casual places. So I can tell you, like Costa Chica in New Brunswick. I can tell you, I won't ever mention a chain, because I don't do chains to begin with, pretty much. So I'm not going to mention a chain Mexican place for sure. Costa Chica, New Brunswick. There's any number, Ponchos in Atlantic City, which makes the best, as far as I'm concerned, the best al pastor tacos in the state. I mean, again, all these places are sort of casual, if not divey places, because those are the kind of places I graduate towards. Divey's not the right word, but sort of local mom and pop kind of places. And again,
so
gourmet Mexican, I don't know what that is, and I probably
to me that's anything with mole sauce. So there you go.
Do you ever get mole? You get mole at Chili's. Does that make it a gourmet Mexican restaurant? Yeah, I don't know.
Okay, Barbara wants to know: do you ever write about beverages, wine, beer, spirits, mead?
Beer, yes. We did a craft beer showdown about 5 years ago. I'm definitely more of a beer than wine guy. Mead, no. One of our photographers is really into mead. He makes his own, Ed Murray. If you want to look him up on Twitter or on Facebook.
Could you spell his name for us?
Murray. Ed.
Okay.
So he's a New Jersey advanced media photographer. He's really into mead. He makes his own.
And what's your?
Yeah, go ahead.
What's your favorite brand of beer?
Again, I don't have one. Like I said, whenever people ask me what's your favorite, I can never be pinned down to one, because there's not. It depends.
What's your favorite 10 kinds of beer, or 3?
I like all kinds of beer. You know, that's not answering the question at all. I love this time of year. My favorite winter brew is half Guinness, half Smithwick's, which is, you know, both Irish. Smithwick's is an Irish red ale, so half and half. They call it a blacksmith. That is just, like I said, winter when it's cold out. It's just a perfect combination. But again, I like, you know, in summertime blondes, which is a kind of beer. You know, the pale ales, I love sour beers, which you're starting to see more of those in New Jersey. Again, really all top porters. I'm really all, you know, the IPAs, I think have maybe not run their course, but I'm sort of a little bored by IPAs. It really, you know, there's a lot that stand out, but you know, if you give me a choice between an IPA and a sour, I'll take a sour.
We have a meadery in Union, says Barbara, called Melavino. So you have to, we'll add that to the tour. Maybe you'll try some anyways. Okay, I'm going to ask
Is there a
three
designated
questions.
driver that is coming?
I'll drive. Because so I'm going to ask three more questions and then I'm going to end it unless somebody else has them. And I'm making up the number 3 as I go along. What is the weirdest thing you ever ate? Or a weird thing? I'm not going to do the est anymore.
Bugs.
Where'd you eat bugs?
Scorpions, ants. Actually, I started to work on a bug book many years ago. So I went to, in California, I mean, it's not New Jersey, but in California, it was the best known bug restaurant. So it was at the Santa Monica Airport of all places, which I think is the John Wayne Airport. So I chowed down to like ants and spaghetti and scorpions, and actually I had scorpion in Clyde's in New Brunswick. They are known for, right downtown New Brunswick, they're known for sort of game and exotic meats on their menu, but they've done occasional, we did this Best Bar Showdown 2 years ago, and the owner made me a scorpion margarita.
How was it?
Scorpion. Yeah, it was good. I mean, scorpion sort of, I mean, a lot of bugs just taste like Doritos. They're very salty and crunchy. Once you get over that it's a bug, you know, it just tastes like something extremely salty. And that's why you go to a lot of places that serve bugs, there's always a dipping sauce. They never just give you the bug. You know, there's always some sort of, you know, dipping sauce that sort of enhances the flavor, because just eating bugs is just not much of a thrill.
Did you ever have any disasters on your travels with food? Disasters, loosely termed.
If you're asking whether I've gotten sick, no, not that I remember. We've had a couple incidents on the Munchmobile where people, you know, I mean, I could tell stories, but it would be kind of talking out of school where people had situations.
Okay,
we'll just leave it. We'll leave it.
Use your imagination.
Again, use your imagination. Again, you're eating all day, so, and some people were better at it than others.
Okay, this is the last question, and it comes from David, and I'll give everybody else 2 more seconds to come up with something. Peter, last question. What do you want for Christmas?
Or my birthday, which is 2 days later. So
happy birthday.
Can I get 2 things, or just one big thing?
Well, I'm born right near Hanukkah, so I will say you can get 12 things.
Okay. Well, I mean, the obvious one is health for everybody next year.
Okay.
And end to the pandemic. Yeah, anything else would be just silly. End to the pandemic, vaccine shots for everybody, and you know, the economy. But again, health, best health for everybody next year.
I think that's hard to wrap up, though. Peter is the only problem in a box, so it's a good one. So before I say the final thank you, this is another and final commercial for Union Public Library. We have so many electronic resources. Call the reference desk and just say, hey, I want to know, you know, what's going on. I heard you have great electronic resources. We have great programs, probably not all to this caliber because it's set a very high bar. But find out about our programs. Go to our Facebook page, our website, give me your email. I'll put you on our calendar. We've got Sinatra coming up. We've got Jeopardy. We've got Health. We've got all kinds of great programs. And on behalf of Union Library and the people who have participated, thank you, Peter, so much. I mean, this was really a treat. When I told people you were going to do it, everybody was jealous. And I see they had a right to be. And also thank you to all of you who participated 1 week, 2 weeks, whatever. And Peter, don't go away. I'm going to share the chat with you. But to everyone else, thank you. Feel free to put any messages to Peter in the box. And I hope to see you guys in January. Have a
Nice.
happy new year. And let's hope Peter's right with all of his gifts. Getting applause, Peter.
No, thanks for having me.
Thank you.
Thanks for having me. This was fun. And Vonda, please stay on because I have to tell you something.
Merry Christmas.
Anthony says things. People say Merry Christmas. And thank you everybody for participating. Just stay on a second, Peter, and I will deal with, I'll take care of everybody.
Yeah, keep Vonda on because I need to tell her something.
I don't know that she's still on here. Hold on.
Okay.
Is she a journalist person?
No. She was just on the Munchmobile many years ago.
Here, let's see. Okay, I'm very slow on this sometimes. I'm not as good as I'd like to be. Move.